DIYers, Mike Boards with the Mike Boards channel. Thank you for watching. We got a fun project to do today. We're going to go visit a close family friend of ours. His name is Steve. Steve and I are going to work together to replace the filter on his Outboard Johnson 60 engine on his boat. Let's get started. All right, DIYers, we're out at the boat and we have a Johnson 60. This is Steve, the proud owner and captain of this boat. And safety first always. Step number one, we're going to cut the electrical power to the engine by disconnecting the negative terminal from the battery. Inside the boat now, and you've got two latches. You may have one, however we have two. And go ahead and loosen those latches and pull the top off of the engine. Set that in a safe location, and right there is our fuel filter. And we've got a clamp here that secures the hose to the top portion of the filter. We've got a lower clamp down there. We've got good access to the upper clamp, however, not so much down below. So we are going to remove this cable by loosening and removing that nut. That'll give us better access to that lower clamp. However, before that, locate your fuel line. You've got your pressure or pump ball, and we recommend allowing your engine to sit overnight to alleviate or dissipate the pressure inside the fuel system. You've got a tab here, and have a towel readily accessible because it's possible and likely that you might leak a little bit of fuel. Next tool, Steve grabbed the 11mm socket and ratchet, and we are going to loosen and remove that nut altogether.
And just pulling the cable off while watching the star washer so we don't drop it. That gets that out of the way to give us more access.
Most of the time your filter rests in a little connection slot there. From here we are going to remove the lower clamp first. Steve's going to insert a paper towel to catch any and all fuel that spills out. And just by loosening up that clamp, this will allow us to remove the lower hose and pull that filter outward. We have removed the filter from the lower portion. We grabbed a little container and we're going to dump the fuel inside that container. What we're going to do is loosen that clamp and shift it down on the hose. And Steve's doing that right now. As you can see here, from here he's just going to carefully pull the filter out, and it may leak a little bit of fuel, so have a paper towel readily accessible. And set it in a safe location. There it is, removed from the engine. Let's go grab the new part. In Steve's hand is the brand new fuel filter and part number.
The fuel filter does have an arrow to show you flow. You have to look at this, it's just imprinted on the plastic, but you can see there is definitely an arrow to show you the flow. You want it to go from the bulb end of the line up into the engine so it gets to the carburetor. With the arrow pointing in the direction of the flow, put that in, and then move the clamp back over and take your time. You got to wiggle it a little bit. Sometimes they're fussier than others, but you can see I'm getting there. And I believe that's right where I want it. So now we have the hose with the arrow, you can see, flowing that way. And now to install it into the lower hose, which is surprisingly simple. And I have the hose in place. Just snug. You don't have to get crazy. You don't want to crack any plastic. Snug. And there you have it. And there you see snaps into this little clamp you can see, or the little housing. Now that we have all the fuel lines in place, I'm going to pull out the gas catching paper towel, and you can see not much actually came out of there. And from there we have to reinstall the ground cable. Let's make sure that's a little bit clean. Doesn't always hurt. Make sure that's good. So we get a good connection here. Not that I've ever had a problem, but There you go. And the 11mm nut. Be careful not to drop it, because I can imagine finding the nut would be troublesome. Now what we want to do is reseat all the wiring that we moved a little bit out of the way, so that when we put the lid back on, everything's going to be tight. Then we snap the fuel line back into place, as you can see. Now that we've got everything secured, we press the fill in, and you can see the fuel coming into the filter, and you pump that till you have the ball hard.
Captain Steve's lowering the boat into the water so we can start the engine. Don't forget to reconnect the cable to the battery to feed your electrical power to the system. After you get the engine started, let it run for about 5 to 10 minutes and then go for a test cruise. And again, let it run for about 5 to 10 minutes at idle to allow that fuel to make its way into the system and throughout the engine. We let it run for about 10 minutes at idle, and for safety purposes, we shut the engine down. Steve is now going to re-secure the cap on the engine and the forward and rear latch. Make sure those are secured. And from here, we'll just take it for a test cruise. Here we go!
Now the problem I had with the boat prior to replacing the fuel filter was when I pushed on the throttle, it wouldn't accelerate. Like, you could tell it wasn't getting enough fuel. Now that I push on the throttle, it takes off right away.
Alright DIYers, the test drive went well and we are very satisfied with the new fuel filter from here. Hopefully this helps. Do us a favor below the video. You'll see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. We would really appreciate it. What do you think we should do now, Steve?
Let's grab the pretty wives and go out for a ride.